I know you're tired. I know you're hurting. And I wish I could say something that was classy and inspirational.
You can do it!
But that just wouldn't be our style.
Welcome to Project Reclamation, where you rebuild, re-energize, and reclaim your life.
Brett is walking around.
Our
Paige is somewhere just waiting to harass Steve, and Jax is
She's
sleeping somewhere.
She's searching for me.
Tim, you got a package? Oh, look, I got a package. Thanks, Brett. I'm holding here in my my hands aren't hot nor they're little, but look at this.
And what do we have here in this said package? Tim's hot unveiling.
Inaccurate.
what did you order?
I don't know.
He
Is it a
ordered
fleshlight?
some.
It is a fleshlight, but whose is it though? You know how they don't they model those after certain girls? No.
That's
No,
so
it is a-
sexist, dude.
And
Well, I'm sure you can get a cock dildo that's modeled after some guy's cock. Jake, you can even have one made.
It
for
says
like,
2018
It-
Comic Con.
I had myself molded.
That's cool, man. Just don't
Just
send
kidding.
me one. I don't want that. Apparently, John Krasinski, or what was his name in the
The
office?
guy from The Office?
Yeah, what was his name in the office?
Pam
Pam and Jim. Yeah, Jim from the office.
Jim
He's playing
Halpert.
Jack Ryan.
Yeah, isn't he always playing Jack Ryan on any of those like?
I don't know.
Those.
Yeah, did you not know that?
I didn't.
Duh,
pay
get the
attention.
net, bro.
Well, so I got I got my Comic Con badge. Here it is. Sweet.
I see it. Oh, look at
Yeah.
this! This is very, very.
It's a nice little
cool.
presentation,
It's a
I
very
gotta
nice
say.
presentation.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, it's kind of fancy.
It
Got
says
a
your name
fancy
on it.
badge,
That's
says
pretty
my name on it.
impressive that it says that your name on it.
They always use The Walking Dead.
Look at that, dude! This is
I
a
have
cool
so many
pin.
Walking Dead lanyards.
Look at that cool pin.
Oh, there's a pin. Why do I have a pin?
I don't know.
I don't
Do
know
you
either.
not have a lanyard associated with this one?
They give you the lanyard when you get there, apparently.
Oh.
No, you just get the one when you
TWD
get there.
is short for
What
The Walking
a
Dead.
Bunch of bunk.
Yep.
If you guys don't more
No
geeky
lanyard.
goodness
This
under
is
your badge.
bullshit.
Look at that, bro. Holy shit.
All right, welcome back. We
All right,
have,
JB, since you just started recording in, let's do a clap just to make
we
sure.
have Tim. Are
you ready?
Steve.
JB, I'm going to need a clap.
Hello.
3.
Damn, that clap was
Bam.
on point.
Bam.
Yeah, we're getting much better at that clap thing. It's
Pretty.
it's pretty scientifically, technically,
Dude, some
on
people
point.
ask me, how do you sync up the audio? And I was like, dude, you got to make it clap.
You just give it the clap.
You give it the clap, you make it clap.
Yeah, or like my butt cheeks when I'm running.
When JB twerks, he makes it clap.
Hell yeah, throwing that booty chatter.
Gross.
So I didn't choose a ramen. Ramen chose me. Then I hit the ground running like a nosebleed.
What are you?
You were rapping, but you sounded like Cleveland from fucking Family Guy.
Oh.
That's
Hi,
nasty,
everybody.
Peter.
It's me, Cleveland.
Oh my God, what's wrong with us?
Oh, Lord, I don't know. Lord, hit me. Lord, help me now.
Lody. All right.
So, what are you guys been up to?
Is this it? We're recording now?
We are recording.
Are we
yes.
live?
No,
This is a
Steve,
hot
this is a
mic?
dress rehearsal.
We're actually
Come
never
back tomorrow
live.
morning
This is
and
a
we'll
dress
actually do
We're
the
never
recording.
live because I have to edit out some of the horrible things we say.
You really do have to
Yeah,
edit
I
out
really
so
do.
much.
We're completely manufactured.
No, not really. I just edit out things, but the stuff that you guys hear is all real.
That's too real.
Things, like the
real,
youths.
I used to try and make us sound more polished, but then I realized that's just not who we are. We're
That's
not
really not.
polished.
No,
and if you
you
listen to
can't
our intro
polish this
song,
turd.
our intro song basically says it's Keanu Reeves saying we're not polished. So
That is like
That
probably
would
the most
be
polished part about our whole
inauthentic
podcast.
on our
is
part.
the intro.
the intro and outro are pretty damn polished. They
Yeah.
have been since day one.
Damn.
That's right.
From the
With
very
my
get.
James Vanderbeek Southern voice.
I don't want your
I
life.
don't want your life.
Damn, that's polish.
Oh, it's actually Polished.
Polish?
It's
Oh,
Polish.
Polished,
It's
yeah.
like a sausage. Yeah, it's Polished like a
okay.
sausage.
Polish.
What is
like
up,
a
everybody?
sausage.
Project Reclamation. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. We're here at another week. What week is this? This is week 45?
We
Is
are
it
on
98?
episode
21?
22.
22!
No, JB,
Even
because there was
better.
the Lost 19.
Even better.
Oh, yeah,
that
that's
we will
right.
not
The
speak of
mysterious
ever.
Loss of 19.
We did it.
You know,
22
some
weeks
hotels
in the
don't have a
hole.
13th floor. We don't have a 19th episode. It's cool.
Yeah,
Here's the
well-
thing, though, people. I think that sometime, if we're still around a year from now,
Oh. Call
we'll
our
just go
shot.
ahead and release an episode 19 just because.
The secret episode. I thought we released episode 19.
No, I went from 18 to 20. It was that same. It was the episode. It was the episode where I finished editing it at 3 a.m. because I owe it to our fans to have something by Monday morning when they wake
True
up.
that. It's for you
And
guys,
I
our
have
listeners.
to do that. So at that given time,
Go
I
on.
had done that horrible little road trip that Sunday, and then I came back. I did something to
The
make me
biggest
happy.
field massacre.
And then I had to edit the episode and I had to finish it. And finally, I think I published it 3 a.m. But my dumbass went ahead and put it as episode 20 when really it should have been 19.
If you
That's right.
are...
At least you were doing something with this where
That is
Steve and I
true.
were sleeping.
That's
Okay.
right.
I still love you guys.
I
If
was
you are
dreaming
driving
about
and you're stuck in
unicorns and
traffic,
fuzzy bunny rabbits.
fuzzy bunny rabbits.
Yeah.
If you're stuck in traffic and you just happen to stumble across Project Reclamation, welcome. Welcome to the greatest podcast.
Willkommen à la podcast.
I know.
That was German, Spanish, and
Willkommen?
English.
Willkommen to the podcast.
And then I said à la
You will like-
podcast.
Welcome.
You
to
will
the
like-
podcast.
You will
Yeah.
enjoy.
I don't speak German. I should speak German.
Hi y'all, welcome to this here podcast.
You will enjoy this podcast.
My father
It
speaks
will
German,
be the
but I
best
don't.
podcast you will
Dude.
ever hear.
Hey Tim, so John Goodman
Yeah.
is just like your dad.
He is like your dad.
You know,
There's
when
a
John
lot of like there's a
when
lot,
John
like-
Goodman is thin, which he kind of goes back and forth between
Well,
the two.
that's what I'm saying is like you guys both share like those the German
Yeah.
that
No, there's-
very German face. I mean,
gotta
John
say,
Goodman's
though,
obviously
John-
a lot older than your dad too, but
Yeah,
just
he's
saying,
probably got a
there's-
good. What is he? Probably late 60s.
Yeah, probably mid.
Yeah, so he's got
late
10.
50s,
He's
early
got
60s.
He's got probably 10-ish years on my dad.
Yeah,
You
But
know,
I
you're
saw
right
that
though.
today.
But I gotta say though, John Goodman, dude, fat or skinny, pretty good looking dude.
dude, he's like one of my favorite actors.
He's
too.
one of mine too. I mean, and he
He's
can
actually
do
like getting better.
He does
when
get
you,
better
you
with
watch
age.
him in like
I don't know if-
Red State or like what was that where he played a senator in that new show on
Alpha
Prime?
House.
Alpha House. And then you like Arachnophobia, dude.
And then you
or
go back to King Ralph, and
Cloverfield.
you're like,
you go back to
wow.
King Ralph, and then you go all the way back to Roseanne, and you're like, that's
Bro.
the
You even go
same
back to
dude.
the Babe.
Man.
He was great in the Babe, bro.
Yep.
I
He
felt
was
like
the
I was
dad
really
in
watching
Coyote
Babe Ruth.
Ugly.
Yes, he was. Yeah, Piper Paraboo.
There you go.
No, whatever. That's John Goodman.
Part of
He's
the
gonna go up there
alliteration
on the Mount Rushmore of actors that
of actors.
the
It's
Project
going to be
Reclamation
Tom
support.
Hanks, John Goodman,
Nicolas
and
Cage.
the Asian
Nicolas
dude
Cage.
from Lost.
Oh, I was gonna say
Daniel Day Kim.
Oh, you're talking about who would play us? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, who?
I was just bringing up like the
so
Project
Tim,
Reclamation.
John Goodman would play an older you.
You know what? I'm not offended by that.
No, I
shouldn't
wasn't
be.
trying to offend you.
He's
by
an
that.
award-winning actor.
So wait,
I don't
you're
know.
Tom. How are you Tom Hanks?
I'm not Tom Hanks.
Oh.
We switched. That wasn't originally what I was trying to say.
Oh, okay.
It was. I was just like putting
can't chew on that thing under the table.
random cool. It's
quite
people
noisy.
on a mountain.
I'm just saying this. Bam! Mount Rushmore of actors that Project Reclamation approves of. Nicolas Cage obviously out there in the lead.
Dude,
Okay.
Nicolas Cage.
Well, and we have two that are clearly
Haley Joel Osment.
Haley Joel Osment.
Well, duh. Actually, did you see him in that movie Tusk?
Have you seen him in that movie Entourage? The
No, I
made-for-movie
did see him in the
movie?
movie Entourage where he was like a fuzzy
He was an
little
asshole. Yeah,
chubby rich kid.
yeah. Take that, Haley.
I never
Joel.
saw that movie, and I'm okay with that.
Well, I don't know.
I enjoyed
Hey,
Entourage when it was on.
I
It was
like
on
I
at a period
like
of
the show
time
and I like
in
the
my
movie.
life.
I'm not gonna lie. It's very it's sort of Hollywood fantasy ish.
You know what I've noticed on this podcast from listening back? We start a lot of stories and never finish them because we get so sidetracked.
That's how we do it. That's how
Moving
the
on.
Project Reclamation does it.
we leave a little bit of mystery for y'all.
Wait, actually, I don't think we even leave mystery at all. I think it's just like literally a stream
There's
of
really just no
consciousness, like,
ending to the
conversation.
story because
Yeah,
we're
dude.
like our brains are made of Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
Dude, but
cheese.
so is everybody else's, and that's why we resonate.
This is
we are
the
humans.
working ADHD of Project Reclamation.
Yes, brought to
Yeah.
you by Adderall. Actually, no, not at all.
Brought to you by Fitbit. Fitbit.
Brought to you
Count
by
those
Fitbit.
steps.
Speaking of ADHD, there's a lamp on my table.
I love lamp.
Squirrel.
That
Squirrel.
was so
Classic.
stupid. I couldn't
Squirrel.
even
If you're
get it
just
out.
listening to Project Reclamation,
Squirrel.
this is the first time you've ever heard a podcast, welcome. And yes,
I apologize
We are
if this is
easily
the first
distracted.
podcast you're listening to,
I know.
but I appreciate
We
you
promise
listening.
to get
However, if this is like the fourth one you're listening to, and you listen to the last 3 garbage episodes that we produced, then sweet.
Hey,
We're actually
life's-
going to bring you some
life's a
topics.
journey. Life
It's
is a
been- It's been a
highway,
while
and
since we
this-
brought you guys an actual topic.
and
So
life is a highway, and right now we're pretty much like between Midland and Odessa. It's flat and boring. At least there's good high school football.
So, JB, on this episode that we did a couple weeks ago when you were not with us,
Yes.
we got some listener questions.
Here we go.
So I think that we tabled pretty much all of them to an episode where you were here. The first one, so I'm just going to go into these if that's cool with you guys. Are we
Do it.
Are we good
Do
for
it.
that?
Rock 'em.
All right.
Just do it. Nike this shit.
So this is from Elizabeth from Windsor.
Windsor.
Oh,
Across
Lizzie
the
from
pond.
Windsor.
Across the pond. The pond. Since starting the podcast, have you had an experience where your own advice has popped into your head and you were challenged to put it into practice?
JB, you're up, bro. The
Oh my
world is
God.
waiting.
Do I give advice?
Do you?
Yeah, dude, you give advice all the time.
Well,
I'm
okay,
going to think back to
so-
something you said. You know what? You talked a lot on the forgiveness episode.
I have it here. So recently, I know I've talked about because I travel a lot have been traveling a lot for work. I had to remind myself that when I'm home, I devote myself to my family completely. And the other day, I ran across a buddy of mine who was like, "Hey, dude, you want to come over for somebody I hadn't seen in a while? You want to come over for poker night?" And I was like, "Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun." But I was like, you know what? I need to go home and be with my family. And I remember saying that was some advice that I had given. Yeah. So there's my story.
I like it.
Really dumb.
No, not at all, dude. How's that dumb? That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
That's
It wasn't
pretty good
said
to
very
me.
eloquently.
Stephen Chang, do you have yours?
I do not, honestly.
All right, well, then you can think about it while I tell mine. I think mine, I'm just going to have to go. I don't have a super specific one, but I do know that in the forgiveness episode, and I think I preach forgiveness more than a lot of people, but I talk about how no matter what it is, how bad it is, that you need to forgive people to free yourself from that. And I think that I found myself recently in a scenario where someone had kind of angered me, and I think that maybe I didn't forgive that person as quickly as I should have. And then, of course, went and listened to the forgiveness episode, and I was like, "Wow, Tim, way to take your own advice, idiot." So I did, and now we're good. But yeah, I think that was a time where I think maybe I didn't put my own advice into practice as quickly or as easily as I could have or should have. Do I need to? Should I keep talking, Steve? Should I drone this on for longer, or do you have something?
Oh no, I don't have anything.
Oh, you're just not going to come up with something.
Steve was just looking at the wall.
I was looking at Brett for a little bit.
All
I
right.
was
Well,
just looking at Brett.
so Steve is enamored with Brett, and
All right. Sorry,
Steve-
Lizzie
Steve
from
has to- no,
No, because
Sorry,
honestly,
from
we've talked
Windsor.
about a lot. We've talked about a huge depth and breadth of stuff already, and for me to think about it, oh my gosh, I can't even every single thing that I've actually talked about is something that I've lived out, or at least I've tried to at least live about, and so. I honestly can't remember. My mind is not good at that, at recalling that stuff.
So once you've given the advice, that idea is purged from your brain bank then.
Yeah, I just go,
well, no. I think it's put into practice is what he's saying. He's living all the stuff that he's talking about for the
now,
most part.
you're
yeah.
going to say, Stephen, whoa.
So basically,
not
you
everyone
live every
lives.
piece of advice on a daily basis.
Steve is clearly missing some stuff because none of us do. But I mean, I think we've all. I think us giving each other or our listeners advice has actually helped us give ourselves advice a lot.
Oh, for sure.
And I've talked about this many times, and I've even talked about where I talk about stuff on this podcast, and then I listen back to an episode, and I learn stuff that
Yeah,
I said
absolutely.
or that JB said. That I'm like, wow, that's and I talked about this on I think last episode or 2 episodes ago, but how it's interesting because we can always fix other people's problems, but sometimes we have so much trouble fixing our own problems, kind of a whole forest through the trees kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like listening to my own podcast and listening to myself give other people advice has actually helped me help myself. And that sounds really stupid, but I mean, it's true.
We're exceptions to the rule of those who can't do teach. We are those who can do, and we teach.
We are teaching through doing.
That was always such a funny saying
doing
that those
through
that
teaching.
can't do teach, because I never understood that.
Somebody said that who was really angry at a teacher. I
Well,
think.
Yeah,
it's
probably.
because teachers don't necessarily work in the fields that they're teaching, or they don't anymore, or I don't think it's necessarily
Do
a
they not?
bad
would hope
thing.
that
I mean,
they
it's
would,
just
right? Don't teach me about biological sciences if you don't know anything about. I guess you're not working as a biologist, or
yeah, exactly.
you're working at the university. But hopefully, you're working at the university and you're also teaching at the same time, and you also are a biological science person. I don't know.
Well, and I think people sometimes see it as oh, well, you couldn't cut it, so now you're going to go be a teacher.
Oh, I think
that's kind of the
to all
I
the
don't-
teachers out there, I understand how hard it is. I get it. Or I feel like I
No,
get it.
being a teacher is the
Also the
most
hardest job.
noble thing ever.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
are you kidding
Especially
me?
in America, if you're a high school
Oh.
or grade school teacher, I applaud you.
Project
Wow.
Reclamation wants to acknowledge you teachers out there, just in
Seriously.
general.
Yes.
If you
Yes.
teach,
Yeah,
if you
having to
don't
like
teach
buy
in
your own
a,
supplies
And I
and teach
think-
with a bunch of shithead kids who don't
I
want to
think
be there.
later on in this episode, we're going to start a little segment, and
there you go.
I'm just going to kick that off earlier without giving you guys too much. But we're going
Uh-oh.
to say, we'd like to thank the teachers because teachers are real heroes.
let's be real, like, honestly, like, teachers from the very, very you've always had a teacher in your life, okay? Even, like, after you were, like, I don't know, how old are you when you start kindergarten? I don't know,
5,
3? 5?
6, 5.
Is it 5 now?
I don't know.
But short of the long,
Let
is
me
it,
see.
like,
When you're in 5th grade, you're 11.
yeah.
So minus 5, 6,
Some pretty good math on the fly
5 or
there.
6.
See, and then guess who taught you that math? A teacher.
A teacher.
You know what I'm saying? That's what's up. You know, clearly,
My
I may
high
not have
school
learned that lesson.
basic math teacher.
No, but seriously, I think we can all think back, and I think we all have teachers we hated. But I mean, we all have some teachers that in some way, shape, or form influenced our lives.
Yeah, and that's it. Teachers provide
mean,
you
when
the
we were-
base theory about
John
how you go
Muir.
about the world, right? You know what I mean? John Muir
You
was
mean
great.
the guy that did all the hiking?
No. This
John
is
Muir was
the one that
a,
did leadership
I'm
in yearbook,
kidding.
or not even leadership, just yearbook at.
he
or
did
newspaper.
yearbook, and he taught like
Print.
sophomore English, and he used to
he
tell
taught
us about
sophomore
his time
English?
landing in the hot zones in Vietnam.
Vietnam.
I never had him, but I remember him being cool. But yeah, I remember like Mr. Abello, like totally got me interested in
See,
science.
and here's also the thing, too. Teachers represent like these huge pillars in your life of what you remember like being X, Y, and Z. Because honestly, looking back on it, you still remember Mr. Abello. Mr. Abello was great. You remember how Amy was in that class too?
Yeah.
Woo.
Well, and we can. I mean, this is the second time in as many episodes where we have sort of reminisced back to high school times, and just we can all rattle off teachers.
Yeah, and
No
sure, you
problem,
can
because they're people that influenced our lives. You know, when we all had Scott Gudentag for leadership, and he was a big influence on our lives, I think. And it's so cool because I think I need to reach out to him, but I think he listens to this podcast. And Steve, you remembered his story about how he came to the East Coast.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like the teachers, like good ones. I mean, if they're good ones or if they're not. I think the hardest part is that like whatever works for you that defines whether they're good or not. But the fact is that they have a noble calling to a noble profession, and they show up and they just do their work. Obviously, maybe they complain, privately or something like that, but they still show up every day and they grind.
Well,
they
and
grind.
the good thing about teachers is it's not necessarily just in the classroom.
Oh,
Because I remember like Mr. Vranish. I never had Mr. Vranish. I did in 8th grade, but when we went to high school, I never had him as a teacher, but I always like looked up to him, and he would go out and help us out on 2-day workouts and stuff like that at the beach. And
yeah.
he was like Mr. Sand volleyball player, and it was always just kind of one of those things where just like, okay, cool, he's a good guy. I want to be like him,
Dude, what other profession do you really, really just like, I don't know, give of yourself to help so many other people, so many, like the next generation that's coming up, because you realize that that's your calling, is to like literally forward on or steward on the next generation.
And feel that responsibility.
And it's hard
Yeah.
because
Oh.
you want to influence these kids to do well and to be motivated to do all the. But I mean, the failure rate is horrendous, and it's
Failure
not
rate of
any
students or
teachers.
failure rate of teachers?
The failure. I mean, if the teacher wants every student to go on and be, the next president or the next whatever, I mean, the rate of, so many students aren't going to do much with their lives. Let's be honest.
True
I don't
that,
mean to
dude.
be like, that sounds horrible, but like they don't see the return a lot. So I mean, there's got to be a lot of
Hey, somebody's got to work at the gas station.
Exactly. And then there's nothing wrong with that. But I guess what I'm saying is you don't get to see a lot. Occasionally the student comes back who's super successful, and that makes you feel great about it.
Well, you want the
But-
best for every student. That's the
Absolutely.
problem, and it's not always going to happen that way.
So I guess what I'm saying is, your rate of return on extremely successful works of your doing are it's tough. I can imagine.
Well, and the great thing about that is that you have one batch of kids one year, and you have another batch of kids the next
True.
year.
True.
That's true, but
You
you have
know?
to start over every single year as a teacher. It's like just seeing all your work created, and then you have to go, okay, it's time to start over again. But that's how some
Well-
artists do it, though. Artists like literally will say, like, I created this beautiful piece. Now it's time to create my second beautiful masterpiece,
Yeah,
my
or-
third beautiful
yeah,
masterpiece,
Or
you
my fourth
movies,
beautiful
or
masterpiece.
albums, or sales, or companies, or anything. I mean, that's how a lot of things. I mean, some things take longer to do than other things.
And here's the best part. You teachers, you amazing, beautiful professionals, you do it for like $30,000 a year.
That is the
I don't
best and
even
the worst
know.
part.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
that's what blows my mind.
Two classes of people that I have the most respect for who get the least amount of appreciation in financial reasons or financial ways is
Cops and teachers.
Oh, I was gonna say lower level military personnel. Your grunt Marines and teachers.
Oh, dude, if you lay your life on the line, bro, like if there's a chance for you to like, oh, okay, well today I may not come back home.
Yeah, and then
today I
there's
may
some
die.
jackass
Okay, cool.
congressman or senator making $175,000 a year, and you're off fighting for the country making 22.
Yeah, and you're getting like stipends and stuff like that. Dude, you should be literally have the truck back up and be like, hey, man, don't worry. We got your family. We got your cousins. We got your nieces and nephews. Like, that's how it's going to be. But I get that though. I get it. Like police officers, firefighters, I get it. Even like those what do they call those? The jump firemen, you know what I mean? That just fly.
Oh, the hot shots.
Hot shots. You're like, cool. I could literally
think
just jump into a fire.
I don't even think they're full-time firefighters. A lot of them.
No, but it's all starts with a dream because but once again, it's a call to service. Like you really just like say, hey, I need to make a difference and I need to make this world a better place. How am I going to do it? Even if I have to do it with my life, that's how I'm going to do it. And that is like something that not very many people at all that I've ever run into feel. So I definitely give you all. Project Reclamation just wants to acknowledge you guys out there. Oh my gosh.
So I'm going to try this again since it didn't really stick last time. But, being a cop or a firefighter, as a firefighter, like you're still seeing a ton of homes get burned. As a cop, like you're not necessarily ending crime. So there's such a high failure rate, but yet they keep going.
Well, I don't. Yeah. That's a great thing about. You were gonna make a really good transition there.
I'm trying.
Totally just like
I tried it the first time and it didn't work.
Hey, guess what?
JB swing and a miss.
It's all right. Steve missed too.
That's something that we always will do. We'll never stop trying here at Project Reclamation.
In case you didn't realize it by now, which apparently none of us have, but our topic today is failure.
Oh, word!
Shout out as in JB failed to make that transition.
But you know what though? I failed. No, well, I failed because I didn't make you guys see it. So then I failed again, and then I just had to spell it out. So
your hair definitely did not fail today. You guys cannot see this, but his hair is looking banging.
Really?
Yeah, dude. It's got that whole it's got that whole George Clooney flow to it right
now.
Whoa,
I think it looks good.
It is. Well, thanks, Steven.
Survey says you did not fail on your hair.
Coming from a guy who has a beautiful head of hair.
He does have a beautiful head of hair with a big rubber band in it right now.
I look like a European soccer star.
Steve uses mane and tail.
He does use mane and tail, and then he makes me brush it, which is kind of weird. But like,
that is kind of weird. But you know what? Hey, what are friends for?
Well, the last 3 podcasts when we recorded, I was brushing Steve's hair.
Hey, that's right. Hey, man, that's how.
Dude, I'm comfortable with it.
That's how the rec does it, bro.
That's all right. So, So failure. Shout out to Coleman Martin, listener of ours. This was his request, an episode about failure. I think we talk about failure a lot.
We do talk about failure.
We have not actually addressed it as a specific topic
until this episode.
So again, with our we're gonna go forth. Unrehearsed, unresearched.
Only giving you listeners the best.
Just like every other episode.
Hey, right off the cuff.
We failed to prepare.
But hold on. No. I prepared a little bit. Somebody told me something today, and I emailed it to myself. Actually, no. I emailed it to our Project Reclamation email because I had to get an email because nobody really wants to email us at that email. So I figured at least if I emailed myself, then I'd feel like we were getting some emails. Now we've gotten some listener questions. So someone presented failure to me, or the word fail, as an acronym, and I like this. And,
all right, sell it.
First attempt in learning.
Go on.
Fail. First attempt in learning.
Oh,
so I mean, this just harkens right back to our: if you lose, you learn. If you win, you win. If you lose, you learn. Either way, you learn.
That's true.
Either way, you win. So I think that failure is just, it's a pillar. It's a part of success, because if you're not failing, it means you're not trying. And if you're not trying, you're never going to succeed in anything.
Well, if you fail and you quit, you lose.
That is true. Well, and we've said so many times, and this is where I'm going to just tie a bunch of different episodes into each other. But we've said so many times that it's the tough times that build character.
True.
And it's winning never builds character, losing does. Now it's not the losing that actually builds character; it's how you deal with the losing. Failing doesn't build character. Failing doesn't make you succeed, but how you deal with the failure makes you succeed. I mean, in sales,
so
I learned that a long time ago that Steve leaves his phone on and then it makes noises during the podcast, and it's really annoying. But no, what I really learned was that in sales you're always going to get a lot more no's than yeses. But I at some point I figured out exactly my average yeses to no's was whatever, let's say 40. So I knew, hey, I need to get turned down or rejected 40 times, and then I'm probably pretty close to a sale. So I started kind of looking at it that way, and then it was kind of a game, like, ooh, I can get turned down. I only need to get turned down 5 more times, then I'm probably close to a sale. So, and I think you could look at any sort of story of successful people, Abraham Lincoln, Colonel Sanders, Michael Jordan. I mean, they all have stories about all the times they failed. And we've talked about, I think, all 3 of those guys on this podcast. And it's just that failure it's a foundation. It's a pillar. It's a part of their success.
It's a necessary evil.
Absolutely. But I mean, and sometimes it's not even evil, because you're looking at something like, Michael Jordan trying to become the best basketball player,
Well, it doesn't feel good. I'm not saying
no, it doesn't feel good, but I think that discomfort is where characters, build.
Exactly.
Because you can't win if you don't know how you can't hit the top unless you know how the bottom feels. Or you
Character
can,
is
but if you
forged
do,
in the fire of failure.
wow, I like that. That sounds so Mordor, so very
I know, right?
J.R.R. Tolkien of you.
Well, I'm channeling Tolkien today.
Tolkien, you're channeling Tolkien.
I have really hairy feet, and they're huge.
JB does have hairy feet.
Here's what it is, though, too. I'm going to be serious with you guys. Like, honestly, if you look at it and if you say it, the failure has such negative connotations, right? Like, like a red mark on a test. Like, oh, no, it's red. Oh, I got an A. Like, it already evokes so much emotion, and it stirs up so much of the pot. And I got to be, sometimes you just have to take away that onus and that pressure away from, like, the word failure. Right? I feel like sometimes if you have to reframe it like, hey, it either went the way I wanted it to go or it didn't necessarily go the way I wanted it to go.
Well,
just because
think
it didn't
about,
necessarily go the way you wanted it to go doesn't mean you failed. Oh no, you're oh no, everything's over. You have to start over from scratch. Oh, you're worthless. You're negative. You're no good. I feel like that's all those connotations that are associated with failure. And that's terrible. You can't live like that. You can't live like, I'm so afraid to do this because I don't want to fail. It just goes the way you want it to go or it doesn't. And sometimes I think if you just take away that pressure, if you take away that steam from it, man, maybe you're going to be in a lot better shape and you're not going to be afraid to keep on trying new things and going after different things and wanting to like succeed in a different way than you normally have before. I mean, that's just where I'm coming with that.
To go back to your test analogy too, like, so, you get a question wrong on a test and you're mad and you're like, well, the fact that you failed at that one little question,
or you missed that question.
That's what I'm saying. You missed the question. You failed to answer that question correctly. That's hard to say. The attention that you'll give to that question will probably make it. You'll remember that for the long run. Kind of like you're stronger at the broken places.
Absolutely.
When you break something, mend. It's stronger at the broken places, kind of thing.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, I feel like if it's brought to your attention that you didn't know that, you're going to spend that extra attention to make sure that you know it next time. And those questions that you did get right, you may not remember in the future, but I feel like that one you are.
Well, and I think that there's a certain amount of kind of, call it fortitude. There's a certain amount of fortitude that comes with the persistence to keep trying until you succeed. And it's interesting because I think when, JB, you have a son who's very young, and if he wants to do something, he will continue to try and do it until he gets it. Like, he will not quit because he doesn't have that. He doesn't have that sort of, I just can't do it. And like a dog. Like, you look at Paige, if she has like a treat or a bone or something under the couch, she will literally not give up until, well, she'll never get it, but she'll try for hours. Sometimes I'll just put a bone under the couch, so she has to try for hours to get it. She's just busy for hours. And so I think that it's when we're babies, when we're kids, or even you see it in animals, we have that fortitude to just never give up until we get the result that we want. And I think at some point, I don't know what it is if we get soft or what it is, but we could lose that at some point. And I think you look at the people, like the people who have been extremely successful in history and in present day. I mean, they are just, their road to success is paved with just tons and tons of failures. And it's because that person never gave up. And it's those failures that give you, you have to learn from it. I mean, if you're failing the exact same way over and over and over again, then there's probably something wrong. But if you're failing a little bit differently and learning a little different thing, like Steve was saying, that one question was wrong, or that one part of the test, you didn't study for, you didn't know, you better believe that you're going to fix that moving forward.
It's true. We've said this before. It's like you never, if you win, you win. If you lose, you learn. We've told you guys that before, dozens of times. But like, it's true. Like, and once again, I don't want to. I want to take away all that power from the word failure sometimes, because I think that is so damning sometimes, and it just it stops you, prevents you from actually true growth. And if you just look at it as if you did get something wrong on a test, could you learn something from it? Did you learn something from the 4 choices you had to choose? Will that make you smarter for next time? And that's really, really the power of it, is that, hey, like, I may have gotten it not right, or it didn't go my way. But obviously for next time, or if this ever were to pop up again in real life, or, not just on a piece of paper, will I get it right then? And will I make the right choice then? And that's the most powerful thing about it, is that it is a learning lesson. And I will tell you this much too. It's like, don't give up on yourself too. I think failure has this connotation like, oh, I failed, now I'm no good. And you stop trying, or you stop working, or you stop efforting. Now, some of the people really, really just work at it, and they continually go at it because they want to be better at it. But sometimes if you just kind of reframe it too, like Tony Robbins had this great quote, like, when would you give up on your child? Like, if they were walking, when is the right time to give up on them? Or, if they haven't started to walk yet? And the answer is never. You're going to keep on trying. You're going to try. Well, we tried everything and we waited everything. Well, we're going to keep on trying. Like you're going to give them infinite amount of opportunities to keep on keeping on until they get it. That's how you have to be with yourself too. Keep on giving yourself infinite opportunities until you figure it out, until it works in your favor, until it finally goes your way. And then even then too, like even Joel Osteen has this like kind of comment or quote where he's like, oh, how badly do you want it? Do you want it bad enough? Oh, I applied to like 5 jobs out there. Well, cool. Then there's 6 and there's 7 and there's 8 and there's 9. You keep on going until it finally like you either curve it your way, or you learn something from it, or you make it work in your fashion, or you make it work to your benefit. But either which way, you're learning along the way. So failure, it's almost like you kind of have to take away all that kind of power, all that negative connotation from it. It is important because it justifies what you don't like. And it justifies maybe a feeling that you don't like feeling. And you work towards to get out of that level of dissonance. You work towards getting out of that level of, I feel uncomfortable. This makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't like it. Then work harder to get out of it. Work harder to get out of that your financial failure. Work harder to get out of your academic failure. Work harder to get out of your professional failures. Keep on working at it until it like finally goes your way. And that's like the most important thing.
Well, failure equals opportunity.
True that.
If you're,
it does equal opportunity.
If you're succeeding at things, which is not a bad thing, I'm not saying you shouldn't succeed. You should have opportunities to do things. If you're succeeding, things are happening for you. If you're failing, there's something that you've got to engage your brain. You've got to twist your view. You've got to learn something. So those, like, if you look at it as opportunity, like we said before, it's an opportunity to gain something.
Absolutely.
It's the failure is just the first part of it. It's not the end. It's the beginning.
Absolutely.
It's very, very much the beginning. And I will tell you guys this too, like in all the things that I've ever succeeded at, right? Oh, okay. Wow. All the things that I've learned from and all the failures that I've had, like it's right. It makes you open, right? You don't like that feeling of like that you fell short of your own expectations, whether it be your own fault, whether it be a series of other causes, whether it be maybe it just wasn't the right time. But I feel like in that moment where you fall short of your expectations, you really, really are emotionally open. Maybe you're like, oh man, I feel like this big vacuous hole in me and I feel so sad. But in that moment of like, oh, well, I don't feel right. It does provide you that opportunity because it does open you up, and maybe you do learn something. Maybe you craft your trade a little bit differently, so that when that opportunity presents itself ever again for the next time, you are more open to it, and you can learn like a different method or a different way to go about it. And it's an important part. It really, really, truly is an important part. Don't ever like look at that and be like, oh, it's just my tombstone. That's gonna be what I'm always gonna be known by. No. Take away all that power, take away all the onus from that. You're going to be just fine so long as you take away something from it. If you don't, and you're still like, oh, woe is me, and you just carry that around as the big crux for your whole life, and you're just like, oh, I'm never going to be, of course it's going to damn you, and of course it's going to sink you, and of course it's going to bury you and drown you. But I don't know, it is an opportunity for you to like really better yourself. And it is an opportunity for you to finally be open. Like I feel like sometimes if you succeed, great, you succeed. And like you don't think that you need to change anything. You don't think you need to do anything different. You don't need to go about the world any differently. But maybe you do, and maybe it would benefit you either which way to see the world in a different perspective.
When you mentioned discomfort, I mean, I think there's huge power in discomfort because
Absolutely.
If you're kind of just mediocrely not so great, but you're kind of whatever. I'm comfortable. I'm not that. It's that severe uncomfort, and that's why. If you look back to our overcoming adversity episode, I mean, some of the worst things that happened to us, and maybe they were failures, maybe they weren't, but that's when you just get that uneasy feeling and you wake up in a cold sweat and you're like, what the hell am I going to do? And that's when you're forced to kind of really figure it out and really maybe, like Steve said, kind of change the way that you look at things and change your perception and your perspective and attack something from a different angle. But I mean, if you look at everything, I mean, it's all those little failures, and I think that you should never let the fear of failure keep you from doing something, because I mean, in my life, just 36 years, and I've heard so many times like people don't usually regret or don't often regret the stuff that they do. It's always the stuff they didn't do. So nobody ever like, oh gosh, I shouldn't have tried that because I failed and blah 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 blah. It's more like, what, I wish I'd tried that. I would have rather failed it than not tried.
True. Did you come up short?
And that's
on
a lot
something?
About perspective too. You have to think. You have to put yourself in your older version, looking back, being like, I'm really nervous to try this thing. If I don't do it, I'm gonna be kicking myself.
The thing.
That's the failure is not doing it at all.
Exactly. Exactly. Because, I mean, well, shoot. Really, like when you do something and do fail, it's just a first attempt in learning. I like it.
First attempt in learning.
First
Look at
attempt
that.
in learning.
Thank you, acronyms.
Thanks, acronyms.
Acronym Ohio. No, that's
Admiral acronym.
Admiral acronym. General anesthesiologist.
Deputy duh.
Deputy duh.
I don't even know. You
I
guys
have
don't
no
know
idea
language.
what we're talking about.
I don't either.
Derailed.
I just, honestly.
Oh gosh, guys, we failed. You know, we just got derailed. You know what? Maybe we should just quit the podcast.
That's it.
Is that what you
give
do?
up.
I hate you guys. See
When
ya.
times get
All
tough,
right.
give up.
No
one has ever said that.
Just give
When
up.
life gives you lemons, give up. Quit.
When life gives you lemons, just
I had to
suck
walk to
on them.
school both ways uphill. Quit.
When life gives you lemons, leave them in the refrigerator till they rot.
When life gives you lemons, add vodka
You know,
or
the best
tequila
part,
if you're JB.
Tequila. The best part about this subject is that everyone, whether you do a daily checklist or you have your 5-year plan, sometimes you just fall short. And the best part is not just get so derailed where you don't stop, where you stop trying. Don't ever get there. Try not to ever get there. Like, and even if you're there right now, see if you can just bump it up to where you're no longer there anymore. You know,
Or
see if you can-
celebrate it.
Or celebrate it. Just be like, dude, I tried at something.
Yeah,
dude.
if you, I mean, look at it like we talk about running. We talk about marathons a lot. You know, if you go to try to run a marathon and you just crap out at 20 miles, you know what? You fucking ran 20 miles. That's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Because guess what? If you hadn't tried, you would have ran 0 miles.
Or even the fact if you just ran 1 mile, the fact that you put, or even like half a mile, the fact that you put yourself in that position to succeed on a level in which you wanted to, in which you saw there was a challenge, and you saw there was an appreciable challenge, and you said, that's what I'm going to go after, because that's a goal of mine, that's a dream of mine, that's a want of mine. That's awesome, because so many people don't even try. There was a line in Little Miss Sunshine or something like that at the end where I guess Greg Kinnear's character or something like that falls short of like being his person, being a spokesperson or something like that. And then Alan Arkin's character comes in and he says, "Hey, dude, I'm really proud of you that you even tried. So many people don't even try after their goals. And they don't even go after their goals." Be a person that goes after your goals and fails, quote unquote, fails miserably. Fail as hard as you can, because still, people like us at the Project Reclamation, we will be so proud of you that you even went after something at all. Like, that is so cool. Because like true friends,
It's kind of like me telling jokes. You know, you can't hit a home run if you don't swing at the ball.
that's true. And
Dude, that's a
JB,
great analogy, by the way.
dude,
I
that's
use
why I
that
love baseball.
constantly
That's
because,
why I love
like,
baseball.
You guys know me. I mean, on the podcast here, I don't talk as much because you guys are like professional talkers. But
I don't.
When I'm just like joking around, I'll like throw out some stupid jokes, and everybody's like, wah, wah, wah. And I'm like, hey, you can't hit a home run if you don't swing at the ball.
Well, I love
it,
dude.
I love it.
I think you're hilarious.
And here's like also another thing, so that sometimes I think about too, is that I always think about this, like, hey, if I were to ever have a child, and JB, maybe you can attest to this more than anything else in the whole wide world out of all three of us. And maybe those of you that are listening, maybe you got some kids yourself, or maybe you think, obviously you're a son or daughter of somebody. Like, if you ever came up, or your child ever came up to you and said, hey, I want to do this. I'm 5 foot nothing. I am 100 pounds nothing. I'm this, that. We don't have a dancer's bone in our body. But I want to try after something, Pops. I want to try after this. I want to try after this because I think like I really, really have a passion for dancing, or I really have a passion for art, or I have a passion for playing music, or I have a passion for getting the first PhD in the family, or just working, like going to school for the first, being the first person to ever go to school. And if you had never been a dancer, if you're not very knowledgeable about music and you don't know anything about the field that they're interested in, but you saw that your child was interested in it, would you say, nah, don't do it. Don't do it, boy. You're just going to fail. What kind of person are you? If you are a person that says that,
You're an asshole.
Fine. No, but like, if you are a person that says that, maybe you have your own
terrible
motivations as the reason why you said that. Maybe you're like, oh, I don't want my child to fail miserably and wander and squander 10 years of their life doing this. Or are you the type of person that go like, hey, I don't have very much money. I don't have all the resources in the world. I don't even know anything about your field. But whatever you need, I'll work overtime. I'll do whatever I got to do to buy you the dancing shoes, to buy you the basketball sneakers, or to buy you all the school books that you need to get yourself in position to do that,
Well, of course.
But I can also imagine there's a lot of parents who might not want that because they don't want their kid to feel that horrible feeling of failure.
Yeah, but what kind of supporting cast member?
Well,
are you
I'm
gonna
not
be
saying
for
it's a
that?
good thing, but I'm saying I can see why someone would think that, and that doesn't.
sure.
make you a terrible person. But the thing is, for you parents out there, this is advice from someone who's not a parent. So I'm totally certified to give this advice. But I mean, dude, let your kid fail early and often, because the more used to failure they get, the more successful they're going to be in life, I think.
Well, and I think these examples that you're giving about these parents who like don't want their kids to fail, I don't think that's realistic. I think we see that in movies.
Yeah,
I think
that's my only draw.
There may be parents out there like that. I can't.
Well, I just said I could see why a parent would want their kid not to feel that pain.
If they are, they're obviously trying to cover up for their failures. Then and make sure that because obviously if they don't want their kid to fail, they've been in a situation where they failed and didn't restart.
No, and part of me agrees with that, certainly, and I love that, because I honestly, once again, you have a different perspective altogether. I will tell you that I am a proud son of 2 immigrant parents, and like my parents, like when they were in college and they were just trying to make it here in the United States, I believe my mom, she like flipped over hotel rooms, my dad picked grapes, like, when they were in college, they were doing anything they could, and so when I came up with the genius idea at 21 years old, hey, Ma, Pa, I'm going to try and work in sports entertainment, I remember they had no fucking clue as to what to think about that. They were like, oh, we have no clue on how you would even start that. It's not like they never supported me. They always try to like provide some financial support, but their words were always cautious, right? Like, hey, don't go out on a limb too much, because like in case you don't succeed at it, we don't want this to be get all wrapped up. And it wasn't like they were purposely trying to dissuade me away from going that route or pursuing my dreams. I think what it was is that they were just being more cautious, because they understood how truly cruel the world can be if you kind of fall flat on your face.
Because parents always want what's best for their children, and being the son of immigrant parents, they obviously moved to this country so that you would have a much better life than you would have had where they came from.
Oh, absolutely.
Back in the car.
And I don't think if they were being cautious, they don't think they wanted you to squander that opportunity.
Absolutely. And knowing them from their perspective as having 2 solid jobs, middle-class jobs now, and they were working and grinding their whole lives, I don't think they wanted to see me, once again, squander that opportunity. Sometimes people come from silver spoons, and then, sometimes people could only dream of what life would be like if they had that many resources available to them. Mm-hmm. But once again, it wasn't a matter of like, they didn't want me to fail. I don't think they wanted me to waste the opportunity in which was afforded to me. At the same time, you have to ask yourself, if you're listening to this, what kind of support system are you going to be for the people around you that have dreams of their own, because that's almost like how you'll represent or how you'll go about yourself, and the way you kind of go about your successes and or failures too.
Well, they could have been like, what, Steve, I think you're more cut out for trade school.
That's what I mean. Let's call a spade a spade.
That was JB.
Yeah, but look, dude, you kind of went. I don't want to belittle what you've done, but would that be a trade school? What you did?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, dude, that kind of fucking worked out for you, bro.
I'm not. I wasn't like belittling my situation.
No.
I wouldn't at all.
I'm not an academic.
Your situation has afforded
as I get older,
I
kind of want to go back, because I have that desire to learn. But when I was in my early 20s,
night class or an online class.
Exactly. But when I was in my early 20s, like conventional college was just like the last thing I wanted to do. I mean, other than like drinking and being stupid. If failing at education. I didn't fail at education. I in my mind I did, because I hung out with extremely intelligent people in high school.
Hung out with people who thought they were extremely intelligent.
Wait,
they were intelligent on paper. That's I get it. I'm not trying to woe is me any of this stuff. I'm just saying. I in my mind kind of failed a little bit in the conventional educational system, but I got back up on the horse and I figured out what I wanted to do. And I went the way that I knew was going to be best for me. So, I kind of took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do. And then I did it. And that was overcoming that quote unquote failure.
But that's it, though. It's not even overcoming failure. You just have to reframe it. Not everyone needs to succeed on
that's
A, B, and C
that's kind of what we're talking about here.
Is
that failure is it's the beginning of the opportunity to move past any shortcomings.
Well, yeah. And I mean, all of the, Einstein had teachers that told his mom that he was mentally retarded. Michael Jordan had a high school coach who said that he was never going to make it in basketball. I mean, we're plagued with people telling us we're going to fail, and with us, thinking we're going to fail. But the people who make it are the people who just keep going. And I mean, that's the thing, especially when you hit the ground the hardest. That's when you need to just ask yourself that question. Look in the mirror. Like, what am I made of? What can I do? I mean, JB and I, we got hit in the head pretty hard here recently, and I'd say we both came out of it better than we went into it.
Well,
for sure.
And that all kind of deals back to what I was saying. It gives you this opportunity to really, really kind of just like look at things a little differently, reframe it.
Well, you have to let it.
That's true. You have to be open to it.
Yeah,
too.
you have to be open.
You kind of have to be Pac-Man.
Explain yourself.
If you're looking at a Pac-Man machine, there's a little Pac-Man dude, eating all the little white dots. So he's like going down the thing. If he were to like run into a wall and stop, the game's over. But he turns around and he spins and he starts going other places, and stuff like that. So that's kind of how you have to look at it. Like, you're in a maze.
Absolutely.
And you're going down and you go the wrong way. Oh shit. Do you sit down and start crying? No. You turn around and you go the other way.
Absolutely.
You
because
keep on going until it's game over and you want it, baby.
That's right. And you go.
Yeah, because in this game you have an unlimited amount of quarters, and you can keep playing that game again and again and again. You just have to be able to do it. You got to have the fortitude to do it.
You got to stay away from those little ghost people.
Stay away from the ghosts.
Little floating ghost things, and you got to eat as much fruit as possible.
Eat a lot of fruit
and vegetables.
Well,
I guess I don't think there's any vegetables, but fruit is better than complex carbohydrates.
I suppose. Yes. I mean,
wait a second. We're going to talk. We've already talked about our diet episode a long time ago. I mean, here's one of the things that kind of crosses my mind, y'all, and I'm just going to be straight up honest with you. The opposite word, or the antonym of failure is not success, right? It's resilience, right? Failure, I feel like to not be in this failure mode, I gotta be successful. No, you have to be resilient. You have to just be resilient, to never give up and to keep on going. If you honestly have that vision and you see your goal, and you're the only person that can see that goal, you have that dream to be that rock superstar, you have that dream to be the first graduate in your whole family to go to college, you have that dream to get a good job because you desperately need it because the bills are behind, or whatever it is. It's not, I'm only gonna know the opposite of this failure feeling as soon as I get that job, or as soon as I get that degree, or as soon as I get that opportunity. No. It's being resilient, to keep on going, to keep on trying, to keep on crafting your new profession, to keep on crafting your skill set, to get to that stage, to get to that place, to get to that plateau where you can be successful again, or you can live up to that level of success that you have deemed important or desirable for you.
Well, I feel like almost, to that note, I feel like failure is like a fork in the road. You fail, you get to this fork in the road, and you could choose resilience and go on to kind of keep going. And that's kind of the road to success right there. Or you can choose the other way, and that's just quitting. Because failure is not quitting. Failure is just failing. So you hit that fork in the road, and then you have to make that decision which way you're going to go.
Failure is the fork.
Failure is a fork. Or maybe it's a spork.
Yeah,
spork?
If you choose the road where you quit, that may look like a fun, flat road, but around that bend, you fall into a cliff.
Yeah, it's a giant gorge, and there's crocodiles.
Have we sold it to you guys already?
It's a crevasse, and there's crocodiles and bull sharks and hippos, and they're gonna
and mighty juice.
And mighty juice?
Yeah, fill the crevasse with your mighty juice.
Oh, yeah. I thought you said mighty Jews.
Oh yes, there's mighty Jews.
I mean,
why would that be that? Why would that be the road to failure? That would be.
It's Eli Roth from Inglourious Basterds.
Ah, yes, good old Eli
mighty
Roth.
Jew.
Oh yeah, no, that wouldn't be the road to failure. That'd be the road to. That'd be the road you want to take, I guess. I don't even know.
Yeah, no, but the crevasse with the crocodiles and the stuff. You don't want to go there.
Yeah, you don't want to go.
It's
there.
no good.
Yeah,
because the other way has a lot of steps
and
some switchbacks and some. It's hard. It's not easy, but you know what? When you get to the top, it's worth it.
Oh, do you know what one of the best things I've ever heard is that like no one has ever guaranteed you that like the road to quote unquote success was ever going to be easy. Like no one said that when you get there everything happens and it's just good. No one's ever said that. In fact, anyone that is ever successful in your mind, or whoever you can conceive as being successful, I don't think that they would ever tell you that their $1 million invention, like, this is what it came up with and it's Velcro, was ever easy. Because I'm sure they had 1 trillion unsuccessful inventions before. But it's being resilient. It's going through that process and knowing that it didn't work out. How do I keep tweaking this? How do I get better at this? How do
Well, it's like overnight successes are never overnight successes.
They're never overnight successes.
No.
And
it's
then
just because you
once
didn't
like,
know who
see
the
that-
person was the night before.
Once you see that,
Well,
brand
yeah,
or
that's
something
true.
like
And the people
that,
who
you're
do have
like,
overnight success, like winning the lottery, I mean, 9 out of 10 times they end up broke like 2 years later.
oh,
Yeah.
and that's that would be a true. Maybe that wouldn't be a true failure, but that would obviously be a learning lesson for you to take. You know what I mean? But
What's the quote about like money easily got is easily lost? Is that the
Yeah, that sounds about right.
dude,
like
is
that.
that a JB original?
That's a JB original. I'm gonna
no,
write
no,
it down.
no. It was a JB
been wrecked.
bastardization of
Reclamation.
a previous quote.
It's probably a Benjamin Franklin quote.
Yeah.
It's like money easily gained is easily lost, and last night I slept with a prostitute or 10.
That's right.
No one ever talks about that second half of that quote. Yeah. No one ever talks about that second half of the
Well,
quote because it's so nasty.
because
Shout out to
he
Sophie
won the
King.
lottery,
Thanks, guys,
but
for teaching
then
me all
a
about Benjamin
prostitute
Franklin.
stole his earnings,
Well, maybe you know what,
and then he invented bifocals. So he's good.
And
It was right before. It was right after he was sailing that kite in that electrical storm. He was like,
For sure.
"Damn."
Sailing a kite in France with the King of France.
He's like, "You
And
know what
some
I want to do after
prostitutes.
this? I'm about to go Les Miserables on this and go ahead and get one of them
Well, yes,
courtesans."
you reminded me of a quote that's really cheesy, and it's
All right,
so
here we go.
funny,
Cheesy quotes.
People say it all the time. You know,
Go
if it
on.
was easy, everyone would do it.
If
And
it was
it's
easy,
true.
everyone would do it.
Also, I saw a meme. It was like some quick, wicked, cool picture of like a staircase and like outdoor and some trail up to, and it's something about like there's no elevator to success, so we have to take the stairs.
dude.
Well, there might be an elevator, but it's broken, so you gotta take the stairs.
Well, the elevator, it's great, but when you get to the top, like there's just like there's no ledge to step out
it's
onto.
like
so
the
you just fall
elevator
back down.
on what's the nerd show with Penny and
Are you?
The Big Bang Theory.
Oh, Big Bang Theory.
Oh, it's always
elevator.
broken.
the broken
It's like
elevator.
It, like the opportunity to have the successful elevator ride is there, but it's broken. So you know what? You
Yeah.
gotta take the spiral
Gotta
staircase.
take the stairs. Gotta take
And
the
let's
stairs.
be real. Like, if you do take the easy way, sometimes you just don't appreciate it as much. You need to
Well, that's the
really,
thing is
really.
it's not gonna be fulfilling.
Yeah.
So
Nope,
yeah, if
not
you
even
get
at
it,
all.
you're good. But you're there, you're gonna be like, all right, I don't feel like this. I deserve this.
That sense of accomplishment and championship or winning or success or victory over yourself, like that is irreplaceable. You cannot do, no one can give you anything like that. Like people that, I know we talked about running, people that know me know I'm a little bit of a runner. Every single time I have completed a marathon, when you cross that and you realize that you literally have run 26.2 miles plus all that training, plus all that dieting or all that kind of weight management or all that kind of physical exercise, etc., that comes along with it. You know that was all you. Now, mind you might have had a team in training that helped you out. You might have had like a coach that helps you out. You might have had a lot of other people that helped you out, like prepare your meals, or you might have had a running buddy. But when it's you that has to come down to it on race day, you're the one who does it. You're the one who puts in all those steps that equal that 26.2 miles. And literally nothing is irreplaceable of that moment of success over yourself, like success over what you thought you could accomplish. You don't want to take the easy way out. You don't want to cheat yourself out of that moment, because honestly, that sense of victory is so rewarding, because that propels you to know what your limits are and what you like honestly can do as a human being. And honestly, I never want you to, like, you're right. If it was easy, everyone would do it. Not
The
everyone does
power of
marathons.
failure
Not everyone
compels
goes
you.
after, yeah. Not everyone goes after, I don't know, going after that big time job that you want.
Only
No.
JB could pull a quote out of The Exorcist and make it funny. Anyways.
Classic.
No, but for sure, Steven, like if there was a way that you could run that marathon and get credit for it, everybody think you remember, but you start at mile 24. Somehow you could do that. What would that feel like? I mean, you would just feel cheap, right? Like you wouldn't feel any accomplishment because you ran 2 miles. So what if you get credit for 26, right?
This is true.
Back me up here, Steven.
No. It is very, very much true. It is very, very much true that you would not want to get credit. I mean,
You'd lose out on the empowerment because, like, when you finish it, I mean, that's powerful. Like, you're like, wow, look what I could do, man. Like, the first one you finished, like, how cool did that feel?
it felt amazing.
That's why I never cheated on a test in high school.
I cheated on lots of tests in high school.
Well, I know, but
and-
like I think for some reason, I probably just didn't have access to the cheating if the materials, if I even want to. But I got my grades, and I can look back being like,
those
I
are
didn't
mine.
get the best grades, but those are mine.
No, and
You
that's
know what?
honest.
That was
right?
the effort that I put into it.
You know what's crazy? I was just thinking about the person who actually cheated the Boston Marathon, thinking about marathons and everything, or thinking about running.
Somebody cheated at the Boston Marathon?
Well, Rosie Ruiz in 1980. She was like, I think she had literally taken the subway or something like that. The story is that she had crossed the Boston Marathon finish line. She was barely had a drop of ounce of sweat on her. She looked so fresh. She was ahead of like everybody else. She was wearing like a yellow shirt, for God's sakes, and like people were like, we didn't even see you at any given. Like a lot of people were like, we don't have any like record of you like crossing this thing and that thing. And this is before like the time chip keeper pieces, I think, that like are on everyone's shoe now. And she like literally crossed it, and she looked like in such good shape. She wasn't like struggling, and she was like one of the first women, I think, that like finished it. Well, she was obviously the first woman that finished it that year. But yeah, and then people were like, we question it. And to this day, like, she obviously took the easy way out. And the hard part is that sometimes if you take the easy way out, you have to live with that for the rest of your life. Like, people know Rosie Ruiz now as the Boston Marathon cheater, and that kind of, there's something to be said about that.
That's not a stigma you want.
Yeah, and that's not a stigma that you want to carry around for yourself for the rest of your life. And so think about it. Like, sometimes you got to put in that effort. You got to put in that hard work, and that hard work does pay off. Like, you know?
And it gives you growth, and it gives you development, and it gives you motivation to go do something more. I mean, I'm guessing you started with a half marathon, right?
Me? No, I went full blood.
On your first time?
Yeah.
Well, shit, that fucks up my whole story right now then.
No. But here's what it is, though. Yeah. We were down in New Orleans. It was like 2004 or something like that, right before Hurricane Katrina happened. Okay. It was like the spring of 2004, the summer, whatever. Anyways, short of the long is that I saw my sister, and she had like signed up with team in training to do a full marathon. She ran it. She ran the Sugar Bowl, full marathon, New Orleans, right? And my mom was there, and she says, "Son, I know you run. Would you like to do the half? I'll sponsor you. We'll just pick you up a sponsorship right now. We'll pay for the thing." I was like, "Ma, I don't have any running shoes." And she's like, no, well, okay, but we still know you run. We'll buy you a pair of running shoes.
Just lies.
I know. No, and then I was like standing there. I was like, well, okay, I guess I could, but I don't have it out. My mom was like, we'll get you some shorts. We'll get you a tank top, because I know this sounds like something you'd want to do. It sounds like something that you want to try. And I said, I was like, I don't know, I'm not ready. And I watched my sister cross that finish line. I said, holy smokes, if my sister can do it, I know that I can do it. But here's the hard part, though. The hard part was that I looked down on myself for about maybe a year's time before I ran my full one, because I was like, I looked at it and I said, I had an opportunity to like go test myself that day and see where I was, sight unseen, just go run 13.1 miles and see where I stood. And so for that year that it was before, it was after my sister's race, I literally, it wasn't a failure, right? It was just a falling short of expectations. So I was like, I could have done it.
It was a fork in the road.
It was a fork in the road. And I felt like even to this day.
For years.
Yeah, as I regret it, I still remember it, and it was 2004. I mean, my gosh,
you had two forks. I mean, you had the fork at the beginning where you could have actually run it, and even if you sucked, you would have probably felt better that day than if you hadn't have done it at all, like you did. But then at that point, your second fork was you deciding, hey, I can do this, and you did, and now you've run a bunch. And
here's what it is, too. Many races down later, I remember that was one of the most important things. It was one of the most important races I ever go back and do, was a race in New Orleans. I don't know how that Sugar Bowl, I don't know where the Sugar Bowl marathon went. Maybe it's not even in existence anymore. But I made sure that I went back to New Orleans and I ran a race, an officially timed race. And that was like my way of like, cool, I'm signed off, I'm good. But nothing in this world we're doing is easy. And trust me, like, it wasn't easy to get back to that point, and it was like one of the things that I had targeted and I wanted to do for sure, and it was something that I made sure that I did before my life was over.
It's awesome.
Nice.
Well, I mean, the whole, you don't want to take the easy route, because then you're cheating yourself, and there's nothing worse you can do than lie or cheat to yourself.
Well, it's not making you any better as a human being.
No, absolutely not.
It's making you worse.
Kind of, yeah.
Taking steps backwards.
Yes, backward steps.
We are capable of being amazing beings.
You're capable of doing anything you want to do
within reason. When you're like, cheap facading yourself, and you're like, North Koreaing yourself. Exactly. That's not cool.
You're better than that. You can do it.
Be South Korea.
You just have to try. Be Stephen Chang. Wait, you're not even South Korean.
No. I'm from the Kong, baby. That's my roots.
You're Hong Kongese.
Steve,
I'm Hong
you're
Kongese,
Santa Barbarian.
Yeah, you're
Santa Barbarian via Hong Kong. Bro.
You're not via Hong Kong.
You weren't born in Hong Kong.
You weren't born in Hong Kong.
No part of me is.
You were born in Chinatown, Santa Barbara.
I was born in the 805.
Because there's a big Chinatown in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, it's
from that earth.
What street did you live on, Steve?
In Hong Kong?
No, Santa Barbara.
Oh, you want me to give a shout out to Camino Campana?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say that.
Off of Cathedral Oaks. That's right. Right by the creek.
The crick.
Camino
I got a
Americano?
crick. I got a crick and some avocados.
Right by the
some
San
Hass
Ysidro Crick.
avocados.
Okay.
Shout
That's
out
right.
to Patterson.
Shout out to the
Campana,
Calle
and
Real
Winchester
Center.
Drive.
Shout out to the Calle Real Center.
That's where these idiots came from.
Yeah.
What up?
Yeah.
JB and I went to, JB actually, I don't think ever went there, but JB represented Mountain View. Those rich kids from Mountain View.
I went to the
Oh,
ranch.
I didn't.
Went
Yeah,
to
I
the
didn't go to
Rancho.
Mountain View. I went to private school.
JB went to Montessori. JB was a Montessori kid.
Wow.
I was a Montessori
JB
kid.
got taught in different ways than we did.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I get it, though,
that,
too. Hey, and JB, think about this. Did they do arts classes, like musical arts classes is it how you became so musically inclined?
No, I don't. I don't know if it was because of Montessori. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. No, but like
okay.
Montessori, like it's like you're in a big room and you basically have
Don't
like
you, like,
carte blanche at what you want to do.
You can like go play with the blocks if you want, or you can go.
Yeah,
What do you mean
there's,
it's carte
you know,
blanche and what you want to do?
No, it literally
Yeah,
it encourages children to choose what they want to do and learn how they want to learn.
But did they
Yeah.
put a guitar in front of you and you're like, that's what I want to do?
No, I mean, I don't know. I can't remember.
Jay, where did your love for music come from?
Yeah,
JB?
that's I guess where I'm trying to
This is
find
a good
out, man.
question. This is a listener question from Stephen Chang.
Ooh.
Oh, listener. Honestly, I think my love of music came from my dad originally.
Oh, cool.
Your
I
dad
get
play the
that.
guitar?
No,
I can see
he
your
didn't
dad like
play it.
campfire picking.
He just liked music.
Oh, okay.
So he would
I figured
play,
as much. I
he
can
would play
imagine him.
old country,
Yeah.
like really old country.
Hank Williams
on the
Sr.,
radio. Yeah, Sons
Johnny
of the Pioneers,
Cash.
Marty Robbins, that kind of stuff. In the truck,
Waylon
and he would
Jennings.
sing along, and I saw what joy it brought him. so
music does
then
bring
I
joy.
think that's kind of why I flocked towards
Music brought me joy until I discovered podcasts and stopped listening to music.
that. I know, right?
Isn't that so cool though? You see your dad, you see your mom like do something, and obviously they're the biggest role influences of your whole life. And you just see it and you go, wow, I want, like, if that makes them happy, like I want to, like, I'm interested in it because I see the joy that it brings them. And maybe that's how it develops, like, you know. The sad part is that, like, I hope that my son or daughter, like, obviously they pursue whatever they want to do. To my unborn son or daughter, do what you want to do. Like, seriously, Pops Steven will love you no matter what. But if my son or my daughter ever wanted to pick up like baseball or softball, like I'd love that. I'd be like, yeah, cool, because I love sports so much, and I'm like, I want to like be a part of that like whole team environment and team aspect of it, and I'd love to be involved with that. Like cut up the orange slices, you know, if I can like be on the road trips and do all that stuff, and it's so cool. But once again, I think that's so impressionable. Like you literally saw your dad, I can imagine him shooing it up, playing some cool country tune, you hanging out in the back of the truck. You know what I mean? And you just being like, dude, this is cool. Like, look at all my dad just like sing along. And that's awesome, bro.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. I could just imagine my son, like just me listening to some ball games on a radio.
Heck yeah,
then-
yelling at the radio.
Yeah, yelling at the radio, like, what? Are you blind? Me obviously like commenting on the referees or the umpires' sweet call. And clearly I don't even have a visual on the play. But yet somehow I knew that player was safe. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right.
Are we on? Are we?
I think we're on to. You know what? So I think that's failure. Failure is it's a necessary thing. I mean, it's not even a necessary evil because it's just going to happen. And I think it's every time it happens, it's a learning opportunity. And guess what? The worse it seems, and the worse it makes you feel, the better a learning opportunity, the better an opportunity in general I think it is.
Sure that.
Well,
And
I think the way I said it was like, yeah, failure is not the end; it's the beginning. If you look at it like
Absolutely.
that, it's a lot easier to overcome.
Absolutely.
But it's not not the death; it's the birth.
It's our first attempt in learning. Thank you, Justine. Shout out to you for teaching me that.
Justine, that's like me, but female.
It is. It's like you, but female. And sometimes, well, not my car now, my old car. It used to when I asked my car to call her, it would call her your name. So yeah, funny thing there. So JB, I'm going to go back to the second part of that listener question. Steve and I kind of already answered this. What is your favorite listener interaction?
Oh.
I'll give you a couple. One of mine was Coleman. Another one of mine was Sienna. Steve's was Kenny.
Steve's was who?
Kenny.
I want to tag onto that one. I think it was really cool how Kenny listened and really got into it and gave us really constructive feedback. I appreciate
That was a cool part.
that.
Absolutely. So we're gonna do a little. So going up. This was actually my dad's idea, so I got to give my dad credit for this. We're heading up towards Comic-Con, and Steve, not a huge fan. I go to Comic-Con every year.
I'm a fan.
But however, comic books and superheroes, I think, are super big right now, and I think that we all need to believe that there's heroes in the world, but I think that there's so many real life heroes. And so one of the segments that we want to start doing is just kind of highlighting real life heroes. And for some reason, I was up last night and I was thinking of this. I don't know if you guys know it, and maybe I'll try to copy it and put it in here. Maybe I'll just read it. First of all, so anyways, I was thinking of this old Paul Harvey thing where he was called God Made a Farmer. And I don't know if you guys, it was on a Ram truck commercial a couple of years ago in the Super Bowl. So I went ahead and picked a farmer. And there was a lot of them to pick from. I just picked one guy. So Larry Jacobs from California. Larry Jacobs suffered illness from pesticide exposure as a young farmer and dedicated his work to pesticide-free farming. Jacobs Farm, now 35 years old and the largest organic culinary herb provider in the United States, won a notable lawsuit over a pesticide applicator whose application on a nearby field found its way onto Jacobs' dill crop. Jacobs and his wife, Sandra Bellin, have also helped a cooperative of family farmers in Baja California, Mexico, form an organic growers association called Del Cabo, which now imports millions of pounds of organic produce into the U.S. markets. And I think farmers way back, till the beginning of our country and before that are just, they're the ones who are responsible for everything that we eat and that the animals that we eat. And it just goes so far down the chain. This is kind of long. Maybe I should just actually have Paul Harvey read this instead of me try to read it.
Good old Paul Harvey reading.
And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer. God said, I need somebody willing to get up before dawn, milk cows, work all day in the fields, milk cows again, eat supper, and then go to town and stay past midnight at a meeting of the school board. So God made a farmer. I need somebody with arms strong enough to wrestle a calf and yet gentle enough to deliver his own grandchild. Somebody to call hogs, tame cantankerous machinery, come home hungry, have to wait lunch until his wife's done feeding visiting ladies and tell the ladies to be sure and come back real soon and mean it. So God made a farmer. God said, I need somebody willing to sit up all night with his newborn colt and watch it die, then dry his eyes and say, maybe next year. I need somebody who can shape an axe handle from a persimmon sprout, shoe a horse with a hunk of car tire, who can make harness out of hay wire, feed sacks and shoe scraps, and who planting time and harvest season will finish his 40-hour week by Tuesday noon. Then painting from tractor back, put in another 72 hours. So God made a farmer. God had to have somebody willing to ride the ruts at double speed, to get the hay in ahead of the rain clouds and yet stop in midfield and race to help when he sees the first smoke from a neighbor's place. So God made a farmer. God said, I need somebody strong enough to clear trees and heave bales, yet gentle enough to tame lambs and wean pigs and tend to pink comb pullets, who will stop his mower for an hour to splint the broken leg of a meadowlark. It had to be somebody who'd plow deep and straight and not cut corners. Somebody to seed, weed, feed, breed, and rake and disc and plow and plant and tie the fleece and strain the milk and replenish the self-feeder and finish a hard week's work within a 5-mile drive to church. Somebody who'd bail a family together with the soft, strong bonds of sharing, who would laugh, then sigh, then reply with smiling eyes when his son says he wants to spend his life doing what dad does. So God made a farmer. I've always liked that, and I think it's really cool, and I mean, it gives a shout out to another, we named a couple of unsung heroes early in the episode. I think that's another good example of one. So, JB, Steve left. I mean, he'll come back. do you have anything to say about this? I'm just rambling on.
No. That was, I'm sitting here, I'm laughing because yours was extremely heartfelt. And the real life superhero that I came up with was the complete antithesis to that.
Do it, though. I mean, but that's the thing. There's so many different ones. You know what? I almost
talk to us, baby.
There's a bunch of vigilante people, like for real. There's a bunch in San Diego. There's a bunch in Chicago. Probably every city. I bet you have some too.
Vigilantes.
So yeah, I didn't know you were gonna go so heartfelt and genuine. So
I'm not going to every week though. That was just the one that I picked this week.
My real life superhero is Phoenix Jones.
Oh, is he the guy in San Diego?
No, he's from Seattle, Washington.
Okay.
His real name is Benjamin Fodor.
He's one of the guys who dresses up like a superhero and fights crime, right? Of all
these real-life superheroes, Phoenix Jones has probably received the most media attention, especially after being arrested in 2011 for pepper spraying 2 women. He patrols the area around Seattle and claims that he was motivated down a mask and cape after his car was broken into, and none of the bystanders tried to stop it from happening. Knife wounds, gunshots, street fights. It's all in a day's work for Phoenix Jones. The 22-year-old is also a professional MMA fighter, which probably comes in handy as he tracks down his criminals. Also, unlike a lot of other people who pretend to be superheroes, Phoenix's costume actually has a bulletproof vest and armor plating.
Well, that's probably smart.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was, yeah.
I like it. You know, I almost picked, because there's a couple of them in San Diego too, and I almost picked one of them.
Yeah.
But hey, if we're going to do this regularly, we got a lot to pick from, so don't worry, JB. Maybe next week you can go heartfelt and I'll go retarded.
There we go.
I like it. Steve, do you have one, or should we save yours till next episode?
Save ours.
We'll save Steve till next episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's it. You know, Phoenix Jones could have looked at that car break-in as a failure and just sat down and cried about it, but he just decided to fight back. So he put on his cape and his mask and his whatever, and then he's out fighting crime. So think about the heroes. There's a lot of bad things we can focus on. There's a lot of negativity in the world. Negativity is like McDonald's for your mind, heroin for your mind. So let's stick to the positive, people. Let's increase the positivity in our sphere of influences, and we'll make the world a better place. So JB, you got any final thoughts?
No, just be good to one another.
Yep. Be good. Enjoy. And go quote Steveisms to everyone you know. Because the short of the long is that he's not lying to you. And baby, that's what I'm going to leave you all with. So have a great week, day, minute, 5, whatever it is. And we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Peace.
So what I believe you were trying to say is thank you.
And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer. God said, I need somebody willing to get up before dawn, milk cows, work all day in the fields, milk cows again, eat supper, then go to town and stay past midnight at a meeting of the school board. So God made a farmer. I need somebody with arms strong enough to wrestle a calf and yet gentle enough to deliver his own grandchild. Somebody to call hogs, tame cantankerous machinery, come home hungry, have to wait lunch until his wife's done feeding visiting ladies, then tell the ladies to be sure and come back real soon and mean it. So God made a farmer. God said, I need somebody willing to sit up all night with a newborn colt and watch it die, then dry his eyes and say, maybe next year. I need somebody who can shape an axe handle from a persimmon sprout, shoe a horse with a hunk of car tire, who can make harness out of hay, wire, feed sacks, and shoe scraps, who planting time and harvest season will finish his 40-hour week by Tuesday noon, and then painin' from tractor back put in another 72 hours. So God made a farmer. God had to have somebody willing to ride the ruts at double speed to get the hay in ahead of the rain clouds and yet stop in midfield and race to help when he sees the first smoke from a neighbor's place. So God made a farmer. God said, I need somebody strong enough to clear trees and heave bales, yet gentle enough to yean lambs and wean pigs and tend the pink-combed pullets, who will stop his mower for an hour to splint the broken leg of a meadowlark. It had to be somebody who'd plow deep and straight and not cut corners. Somebody to seed, weed, feed, breed, and rake and disc and plow and plant and tie the fleece and strain the milk and replenish the self-feeder and finish a hard week's work with a 5-mile drive to church. Somebody who'd bail a family together with the soft, strong bonds of sharing, who would laugh and then sigh and then reply with smiling eyes when his son says that he wants to spend his life doing what Dad does. So God made a farmer.